So my previous recording between me and Mark Mehl back in November, which I believe was the last time I spoke with him on the phone. At that point, on that conversation, I never had a full copy of Jeffrey Watne's full court records or court orders from every time he went to court. I finally got a full copy of all of them in January of this year. I wound up bringing a copy of all his orders every time they were changed or something was ordered different every time he went to court and there was a court order made on them. I brought a copy of them to court with me February 13th of this year and got each one stamped by Dakota County, so that we had solid fact proof that they have them, they received them, and it's stamped right there that whatever. But I believe it's like 5 pages of every time an order was changed or something was different. So the first one, which was done September of 2003, no contact with victim unless with supervise, which has to be set up with the mom. So September of 2003, the first court order was no contact with the victim unless supervised, set up with the mom. Here's the second one. See it stamped, same date, received Dakota County. This one's May 20th, 2004. Complete sex evaluation, complete aftercare as recommended, register as a sex offender, and keep current. No unsupervised contact with children under age 16 except as set up with Human Services or through therapist to have time with own children. Successfully complete Alpha program and all aftercare and sign releases. If failed treatment, to prison 90 months. That was the second time a court order was made. Now this is May of 2004. Clear. No unsupervised contact with children under 16, except for his own children. Nothing about no one else's children. This is the only stipulation was for him to have it with his own children, which had to be set up through Human Services or through his therapist. So now, April 8th of 2008, Jeffrey files a motion. The defendant's sentence and conditions of probation be amended to allow unsupervised contact with his juvenile son and with the juvenile daughter of his girlfriend. So now he's filing a motion to try and get unsupervised contact with his son and my daughter. Nothing about his own kid, but my daughter. This is a letter from Dakota County Probation Office to Scott County Probation Department. May 7, 2008, they sent it. As you can see, stamped again by Dakota County. Made sure they all had a copy of it, so they can't say he didn't know or wasn't aware. Mr. Watne has a hearing scheduled on Tuesday, May 6th, to petition the court for unsupervised contact of his girlfriend's daughter, which is my daughter. Up to this point, Mr. Watne has had permission to have supervised contact with her. Where in the hell did he get permission to have supervised contact with her? No court order was ever changed, altered, or anything. There's a court order in place signed by a judge. And the only stipulation he had was with his own kid, not with anyone else's kids. How in the hell was probation even allowing him to have supervised contact with my daughter? How were they able to give permission or allow it when there was a court order in place, no contact, except with his own children supervised? Our department would request that if the condition is changed, that it read no unsupervised contact per PO's suggestion or approval. Now, this is when they wanted it written for the POs to allow permission, but they already were allowing it and letting them be around my child supervised, which they had no reason, no grounds, no authority when there was a court order in place that he was not supposed to. In order to change that, he would have had to went to court and get a judge to order it different. Never was it ever changed or different. So here's Dakota County sending this letter to Scott County, admitting right here clearly they're already in fault of child endangerment by allowing it, which they never should have because there was a court order in place. The department would still want to address good touch, bad touch. Fucking don't even want to think about this shit. To put my kid through, man. So here, clearly, Dakota County is admitting clearly they're in the wrong by allowing it in the first place when there's already court order in place that he's not supposed to have any contact with any children under 16, except for his own children, supervised. There was never ever anything changed different about him to have any contact, supervised, unsupervised, anything whatsoever with anyone else's kid, any children, period. Only with his own. So as he goes to court on it, the judge ordered on May 6, 2008, motion to lift, no contact, is not granted. Motion to lift, no contact, that means is not granted. Motion to lift, no contact, is not granted. That means he tried to get it lifted, tried to get it changed. Judge straight, clearly right here ordered, is not granted. It doesn't say anything in here about per PO's approval that it could allow him to be around any kid. It never ever was an order changed about him around anyone else's kid, period. All his orders were only with his own children, his own child. And it had to be supervised, set up through human services, so on and so forth. There was never ever no court order allowing him to be around any other children except for his own, period. How was it ever being allowed, or were they letting it go, or allowing it, period, when there was a court order stating clearly no contact? This right here, May 6, 2008. 3 months later, they wind up buying a house, moving in together in South St. Paul. What in the fuck was probation doing, allowing him to purchase a house and moving in with my ex and my daughter, who was only 5 years old at the time? Probation officers allowed this pedophile Jeffrey Michael Watne and my ex to buy a house together, move in together with my minor daughter at the age of 5 years old. 3 months after he went to court and tried to change his orders, judge clearly denied it. 3 months later, they buy a house in South St. Paul and are living together under the same roof. 3 months after a judge orders this, Dakota County probation officers allow him to be in the same house, under the same roof, living in the same house as a 5-year-old daughter, my daughter.